Over time, your timber deck loses its natural tannins and oils, making it look old and tired. I'm going to show you just how easy it is to bring your old deck back to its former glory. The best way to bring an old deck back to life is by restaining it. Now, just before we do this, there's a little bit of prep we have to do and a couple of different ways we can go about this. I've chosen deck and timber prep because it works quickly, meaning you can get the job done a hell of a lot faster. So what I've got here is the old deck and timber prep. 1 litre makes 10. So give that a little bit of a stir up. Okay, it's simple as this. Tip that in the water, nice light little mix up. Now I've given the deck a sweep, checked it over. If there was a little bit of mould on that, I'd use an anti-mould product, but there isn't, so I'm good to go with just the deck and timber prep. So it's as easy as this. Throw a nice stiff broom in the mix. We can probably only do about a metre square at a time because it's such a hot day. We certainly don't want this product to dry. So we'll just do about a metre at a time, and then we're going to wash it off. We don't want any of this prep to dry whatsoever. Now that's looking lovely. Let's move on to our next spot. Rightio, all the hard work is just about done now. All we have to do is let this dry before we start the restaining process. Okay, my deck is absolutely bone dry. I'm ready to throw down our stain. There's a few different colours you can choose. I've decided to use the natural teak, and there's a couple of different options you can also go for. We've got the oil-based stain and the water-based stain. I've decided to use the oil-based stain. Now, before we start staining, I want to mix these two containers together, just in case there's any slight variation in colour. That's going to eliminate that. Give them a stir in the can, and then we'll tip them in our bucket and mix them up. Now let's give those puppies a good old mix together. And what we're going to do first is cut in along the edge of the house. I'm going to use a paintbrush to do that because our foam applicator pad, we certainly don't want to get that up against the weatherboards. Now these foam applicator pads really do take the hard work out of putting our decking oil down. Long gone are the days of the paintbrush, getting down on your hands and knees. This gets it in here absolutely perfect. If you're finding that you're left with a couple of little pieces in between the joins you can't quite get down there, you might have to come back with a paintbrush and just finish them off. But these foam applicator pads certainly take most of that out. Now it's just a really good tip to do a few boards wide at a time. Just completely finish that row, because if it dries and you come back to it a bit later, you might see a contrast in colours butting onto it, but if you got it side by side, you're not really going to see that. So just try and get up to the edge of your third board there. Really squeeze that mop down, get it in between your joins. Now, one coat for this deck is going to be absolutely fine. Now, a little tip for you. Before you stain, you'll just want to make sure that your deck, has had a season out of it. You've given it at least a few months to weather slightly before staining it. That way you're going to get your best desired finish with your stain, and it's going to really soak in. The pores of the timber have opened up, and that stain's just going to key to it nicely, and it's not just going to sit on the top. Now you just want to resist the temptation to use too much stain, putting too much on. Otherwise it's just not going to soak in properly and it'll end up just being tacky. So just give it a good solid coat without going over it too much. Now this is a pine deck, but if you had a hardwood deck, this colour would come out slightly different. So just be careful when you're choosing your colours. Okay, that's all done. Now depending on the weather, you just want to leave that to dry for around 12 hours. And there we have it. With a good clean and a restain, we've made this deck look $1,000,000, and we've given the timber the protection it needs to last for a few seasons to come.